Yo, Lee Camp is here.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
All right. How are you, man?
Welcome. I think it is Government Secrets, episode 14. Lee Camp and Graham Elwood here.
Absolutely, it is. I'm trying confidence this week. That's my new thing.
just confidently saying anything. Hey,
oh my God. It is so episode 14.
Yep, done. I like those guys that are just like, yep, book it. Yep, that's absolutely correct. And they're just, and usually like if those are the people you're working with on some type of project, that's like almost assuredly the guy that's just going to flake and bail and not get anything done. Right?
Oh yeah. Or just make horrible decisions, but be like, yep, stamp it, signed, sealed, delivered. Yeah.
Punch it, done deal. Yeah, but you said you're going to get that done by Friday. Friday didn't hold, so we're pushing it to next year. Book it. What are you talking about?
Friday didn't hold.
Just, what are you talking about? What are you saying it didn't hold? What does that mean? Just they all have like those quick short terms. Punch it.
Absolutely. I mean, you just defined the entirety of Donald Trump. You know, it's all positive. It's all positive thinking, quote unquote positive thinking, which means positive for whatever he wants. And short sentences, 3-word sentences. Yep, done. Beautiful, wonderful, best ever, perfect.
It's Dale Carnegie through the prism of a sociopath, narcissist, just like
which Dale Carnegie was. So.
Yeah, just that's what Trump does. He'll put an "everybody knows this" on one of his statements. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Everybody said I killed coronavirus. It's gone. I'm perfect. Bigly.
Everybody knows this. Like, it's just that is such the like narcissist. It's also like a high school thing, you know. Like everybody knows that you're wrong and you're on my side. Everyone's on my side. Like they're just like they need the whole lunchroom to be on their side to push whatever nonsense. And it's like,
well, that would make sense. I mean, Trump stopped advancing like both emotionally, intellectually, and everything else in about, beginning of high school. So,
right. Which is probably when he started doing Coke and Adderall.
Yeah. Well, because he always wanted to be like the sober guy who's like, oh, you guys do that stuff. He was just snorting Adderall into the bleachers. He's like, I don't drink. I don't drink. Drinking, it killed my brother, and it was sad. He was pathetic. He was a loser. I'm just, hold on a second.
Adderall makes me make good business decisions. Yeah. Book done. Everybody knows this. Trump does sound like the kind of guy that's like coked up at a party trying to get you into some business deal. You know what I mean? Just like, or he does Adderall, just something just like, yeah, that's right. Let's build a wall. You want to fucking join Space Force? Let's do Space Force. You want Space Force? We're going to buy Iceland. You in? We're buying Iceland.
We're buying Iceland. We're nuclear bombing that hurricane. That hurricane's done. It's a loser. That's a loser hurricane because we nuclear bombed it.
You build the wall? I'm building it 20 feet higher. Done. Book it.
Book it. Book the wall. Book it for something. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Oh my God. Trying to being Trump's like assistant who's got to jot down all his crazy ideas, just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
just, how many 3 a.m. insane phone calls has Trump's assistants had to get over the years?
How many? Hey, what? It's 3:05. That's fine. How many times have we bombed hurricanes? We've never bombed a hurricane. Well, what about the last one? We killed it, right? Killed a hurricane? Bomb this one. Bomb this one twice. I don't know what's happening.
All right, socks that don't have toes because the toes are out making deals on the stock market. Book it. Hangs up. What am I supposed to do with that? What am I?
Well, and the sad thing is he got into that shit before there was like good Adderall. I think before Adderall was a thing. So he was just snorting diet pills. It was just like the fucking weird Chinese diet pills that would get you hopped up on those. That's all he had. He was doing booty bumps of diet pills back in the early 80s.
Weird Chinese diet pills. Actually, I saw them at Bonnaroo, I want to say, and oh my God, they were amazing. It's the best EDM show I've ever seen is weird Chinese diet pills. Just shuffle dancers on stage.
Well, that's the tune he hears in his head. Everything he does, that's the backbeat.
Yeah, when he's like, everybody knows this. I was the best. I was the best for the black community ever.
Well, I mean, he is his own hype man. Basically, he in his brain, he has 5 guys behind him going, "Yeah, boy! Oh, nailed it! Best ever!"
He is. That's why he only all he's done for 4 years is go to have. I mean, he was having rallies after he became president because it's like you won. You don't need to campaign anymore because he just needs that. Like, that's right.
Oh my God!
I'm the
Yeah.
best.
That was some of the most bizarre shit where it's like, you've been in office 1 year, you spent most of it golfing, maybe doing a rally for what? Why don't you do some fucking work?
Why don't you? Remember when his schedule came out after he'd been president like 9 months or a year, and it was just like all these massive blocks of like presidential
private time, right?
private time.
Yeah, it just said like private time, just endless. And he was like, most of the presidents get up. Granted, they're doing it to destroy the world, but most presidents get up at like 6 a.m. to do their destroy the world work. And Trump would get up at 3 and tweet, and then use from like 6 a.m. to like noon for private time. Like,
just Chinese diet pill time. That's what that was. That was just Chinese diet pill time. Oh, well, looks like Jimmy Dore is watching our show today. That's outstanding. Thanks, Jimmy, for tuning in today.
Hey, Jimmy.
What's up, buddy?
All right.
So, all right.
I think we've hit it big. We got Jimmy as a viewer.
Jimmy's watching. This government secrets is going to be huge now.
What does that mean? I don't know if it's the same people I've met, or does that mean the guy that runs his webpage is tuned in?
Yeah, if it was Jimmy, then the super chat would have some sort of sarcastic remark or talk about his Chinese diet pills that he does, or something like that. All right, so let's get into it. Government Secrets, episode 14.
Chinese techno episode. K-pop. This is the K-pop episode.
Oh God! All right.
So I think we should spend at least the opening segment, if not 2, just talking about what the fuck we think will happen Tuesday. Because I in my brain that is a government secret as to what will go down.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, there's like 500 potential outcome scenarios, right? Like, and everyone's got all these. And every time some reasonable person that I like or respect says, well, this could happen, or they could be doing this, I always go, yeah, it might be. Yeah. Anything's possible. So what are your Chinese diet pill predictions for Tuesday?
I think anthrax has been dusted on every touchscreen machine, and we're all dead.
I'm excited for an Anthrax reboot. Anthrax reboot.
Remix, yeah.
Remix.
You get both the toxin and the band in the same envelope. It's a vinyl they send out. So I did a live stream today where I talked about how, and this gets into the kind of government secret portion of it, which is our country is uniquely suited to create the brand of chaos that may happen on Tuesday.
Oh.
And for a multitude of reasons, but one of them is that, and there's a lot to explain, so I'm going to try and make it pretty succinct here, but our media is talking about how, like, there's a flood of mail-in voting, more than we've ever seen. Over 60, it's like 70% of the people who voted, of the number of people who voted last time, have already voted, have already sent in ballots. Like, it is crazy more voting than they're used to, meaning certain states are not going to be able to count this shit on the day of, and it's going to take several days. Now, if certain states announce their outcome on the day of, on Tuesday, then you could still kind of know that Biden is winning or whatever. Like if Biden were to win Florida, if they were to announce that on Tuesday, then the odds of Trump winning apparently are like less than 1% if he loses Florida. So something like that could happen. But exempting something like that, it will be some degree of confusion and chaos. Trump will announce he's won, no matter what the reality is. Trump will announce he's won unless it is a clear landslide against him. And even then, he might announce he's won. But
everybody knows this.
Everybody knows I won. And the reason that's even possible is because you have pre-election. You have two kinds of crucial polling: pre-election polls and exit polls. In pre-election polls, because they've been off so many years in a row in swing states, these polls are fucking off. And they're off not because the pollsters are bad, but because a crazy number of people have been purged from the voter rolls. So they think they're going to vote. So they're called by a pollster and they say, absolutely, I'm voting. And then they are unable to vote. And some of them don't even know they didn't vote because they're given a provisional ballot. So they think they voted and they did not vote. And that happens a lot too. Greg Palast is estimating that 16 million people have been purged going into this election. Millions upon millions of people, especially in swing states. And so those polls will be off by a lot, especially in swing states. And normally you could use those pre-election polls to point to and say, look, we know this election is not legit because look at these polls. But instead, we have been shown that they're wrong again and again and again because these people think they're voting and they're not allowed to vote. Because capitalism has a democracy problem, therefore it needs to suppress democracy. And so people of color mainly and young people, but mostly people of color, are purged from the rolls. Then you have the exit polls. But I'll pause there and we can get to the exit polls in a minute.
Well, yeah, I mean, this goes back actually to the Joe Mentum scam of the Democratic primary, because it was the exit polls that showed Bernie with double-digit wins in all of these districts that Biden somehow won. Yeah. And of course, wacky coincidence, they were mainly in voting precincts that used a touchscreen. So no conspiracy there. That's good. Just don't ask any more questions on that one.
And same with 2016.
Yeah, and same with 2016. So that's the thing too, is the exit poll is far more accurate. I can't even watch the regular polls. Now, some of them are showing like in states that Hillary thought she was going to get 4 years ago and ended up losing, Biden has a bigger lead.
Yeah, Biden, yeah. But yeah, the stuff the mainstream media is giving us, which I think is accurate, is that Biden has a far more stable lead in these pre-election polls. They're not swinging wildly back and forth, and his lead in swing states is greater. But
so yeah, I mean, there's that thing. I think, like you say, I think Trump is going to declare victory no matter what. I don't know. I mean, unless he's so tired of he's like lazy. He's like, I don't want to be president anymore. I just want to run my own kingdom somewhere on Mar-a-Lago. He might just go, yeah, I guess I lost. I don't know.
Yeah, but the two things that I think stop him from that is, one, unlike most previous presidents, there is a slight risk that they could come after him legally for various crimes. Never the real crimes, never like war crimes, because that kind of shit they love doing. So they might come after him for some bullshit, like they tried to impeach him for the Ukraine shit, which is standard presidential corruption. Same shit Biden did as vice president. So that might make him fight to the death. But and then the psychology, he clearly is he's a pathological liar. He's a sociopath, and he has quite a pathology around losing. So to be the loser is, right. A fate worse than death for him. And then the final thing is that he does have hundreds of millions of whatever the technical terminology for pushback loans that have been delayed that are due, hundreds of millions of dollars that he does not have at all. And he is basically broke. And those are coming due, and he thinks the only way to keep avoiding those is to be president.
Wow. Now that is a government secret, Lee Camp, I did not know. Of course, yeah. Like He's like anybody who's like, I'm the best, I'm number one. It's like a guy that gambles a lot, and those guys only tell you when they win. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like, called it, I picked it. I had the Niners and the points or whatever. They never talk about all the money they've lost. And those guys that talk that big, they always have some like debt up to their eyeballs, or there's a court case looming that they're hiding from or something like that. Those guys are always have some shady shit behind them. Well, here's my thinking on this, on what potentially could happen Tuesday. And it's something when I had Whitney Webb on the show about a month ago, is that all these powerful people, like real deep state types, and both parties are deliberately going to put us into a hung election to spurn a civil war, so that the end game, it's not about someone winning or losing this election. The end game is martial law and just more keeping us clamped down. So,
well, but that, I don't know. I mean, that implies that they've somehow lost control of the American populace when, like, yeah, there are some protests here and there, but if you really look at us, we're pretty well enslaved. I mean, we all think that our slave labor is all that matters, and as long as we're given a job, we're happy, or not happy, but we're depressed, but we're not going to riot or anything. And so, I mean, I think having a defined president and some sort of like quote unquote normality is great for them. I think they prefer that over declaring martial law, which people have a tendency to fight against. So,
right, and in a country with all these guns, that would yeah. there would be.
Well, you and I were saying before we started taping that Walmart took the guns off the shelves or whatever, and so we're going to see just like a revolution of sporting goods. It's going to be mainly tetherball and hockey sticks, and just
guys with lawn bowling just going at it, just hardcore.
Yeah. What was the name of the guy who teamed up with the Ninja Turtles? He had like hockey sticks and like fucking baseballs and shit.
Well, I mean, look, lacrosse was a Native American sport that actually was started as like warring tribes. That's how they'd settle disputes. So maybe we might just go back to some old school lacrosse matches where people are just pounding the crap out of each other with lacrosse sticks. I don't know. I played
folks in the comment thread. I need to find out who the guy was that teamed up with the Ninja Turtles and had the hockey sticks. This is very important. Casey Jones. Thank you, Matt. Yes, Casey Jones. I love how what the fuck was with Casey Jones? All the Ninja Turtles have these like crazy names like Raphael and Leonardo. They all have these like great Renaissance names, and then they're just like, yeah, it's fucking Rodney Casey over there. Like Casey Jones. Fuck you. Give him a cool name too. What? Just because he's humanoid?
No, he doesn't get a cool name. Casey. Name. Thanks, Casey. It's just like, I mean, so I like, yeah, I feel like unless Biden just overwhelming, and I'll just to play devil's advocate on this, because I really have it's hard to predict any of this, but just watching some of these numbers, like you said, there's been over 77 million. That was as of yesterday. Probably more upwards of 80 million. So like you said, we've already had 60% or more of the total votes from 2016 have already shown up via mail, right?
Yeah.
So and what they're doing, and they're obviously like critical states like Wisconsin, they've tried to clamp down. And so Wisconsin, I believe, unless this has changed, has said any ballots received after November don't count. Whereas like
that was the Supreme Court decision, I think.
Okay.
That it went to Supreme Court, and Trump's newly far right-wing Supreme Court quickly said, oh yeah, shut off the voting.
Yeah. So thank you, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for not stepping down during Obama when she was asked. And thank you to Obama for not forcing somebody in when he could have. So
I know. Meanwhile, who was the judge that Trump forced out when he first got into office? The guy's like 60 years old. He's like, you're feeling old, aren't you? Your hips are bad, right? You better step down. Yeah, I got this guy Kavanaugh. He's young. He's agile. He's spry. You're feeling bad. Oh, is that a cough? Yeah, you're going to die soon. You're definitely going to die. You better step down.
How many fingers am I holding up? Yep, bad vision. Yep, hooked it. Get out.
Meanwhile, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like an arm falls off, and she's like, "I'm still alive." Like she was pulling the fucking God damn it, the Mike Myers movie, Austin Powers, where he's like, "I'm not dead yet." She was pulling the "I'm not dead yet."
Yeah, so I think so. You've got these factors, and then I've watched some stuff of like a lot of since the Democratic Party, starting with, clearly with the nomination of Joe Biden and the stealing it basically from Bernie, who was beating everybody, and then Bernie just quit. But the Democratic convention where they had all these Republicans speak, and in the debates where they're like, I'm not going to ban fracking. No, we're not going to do that Green New Deal. Hell no, we're not going to have Medicare for all. It was clearly, I was like,
fighting over who's more right wing.
Yeah, exactly. It was a Republican debate. And the Democratic Party clearly has gone after these sort of like suburban Republicans, these sort of Mitt Romney, Reagan Republicans, whatever you want to call them. And I was watching a thing today on Sky News, which is an English channel. Now they're very corporate. I think it's Rupert Murdoch who probably owns them or whatever.
Yeah, but Sky News is Rupert Murdoch.
Right. So they were interviewing all of these like basically suburban white women who are like doubling down on Biden, many of whom voted for Trump 4 years ago. Many of whom, again, now this is the corporate media for sure, but I wonder, and you have to take that into account in the sense of like that if the deep state, the oligarchs are, since they're controlling all of this, they're going to try to feed a narrative that supports Biden overwhelmingly winning, because maybe they think Trump did some of our bidding, but he's a little bad for business, and
yeah, he's a bad CEO for America Inc. He makes us look bad. We can go along with systemic racism and obliterate other nations quietly, but Trump really throws it in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not fixing any of those. And his supporters are like, well, that's because he's going to fix it. No, he's not.
he just hadn't gotten around it. Just let him finish his golf game. He's going to get to it next week.
I heard somebody said to me on social media, but Graham, he hasn't started any new wars. Oh, that's how low the bar is. He's still bombing 7 countries, but he hasn't started any new ones. So that
the military under Trump dropped more bombs than Obama the first year. I think the numbers. I think they haven't revealed the numbers since his first year, but in Trump's first year, they dropped over 40,000 munitions, and in Obama's final year, it was 30-some thousand. So he is bombing more than Obama.
So, and of course, thanks to the Democratic Congress, he keeps getting more money for his military budget. So it's really fantastic. So the fact that he's this peacenik is laughable. So I wondered, like, are all the early voting and the mail-in voting probably favors Trump, or favors Biden?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And this suburban white women showing up en masse for Biden, and the big people showing up for Biden, not that Biden isn't inspiring anybody. It's just this massive no on Trump. Biden's enthusiasm. People are voting Biden, but they're not enthusiastic about it. So I saw the other day that poll Biden's enthusiasm is like 9%, which is just lower than the enthusiasm for stubbing your dick on a table. So I get a little excited about that, depending on the kind of table. It depends on the table.
So you're in the 8%, is what you're saying.
Yes. Every once in a while, it's like, oh, well, all right, that was okay.
Oh, okay. Not as bad as I thought.
Oh, hey, you know what? I'm checking in the yes box on that one.
But I mean, he has no enthusiasm, but people are voting. Really, I'd say 50% of all Biden votes are just against Trump. It's just stop this fucking chaos, which, there's a certain amount of the chaos that will be stopped, meaning kind of the outward show of how awful things are will be stopped because you won't have an idiot tweeting about it all day long. So if you're voting for the president to stop tweeting, then you will vote for Biden because you will succeed.
If you want a more presidential Twitter feed, then fight with your man. And that'll help you go back to sleep for the bombing and the sanctioning and the putting kids in cages and everything else. So, all right, let's talk.
Well, we have to save time for exit polling though.
Yeah. Okay. But all right. So let's talk about that then. So next week, I mean, do you see like a clear winner come Tuesday night?
Only if one of these states that counts more of their vote, counts a lot of their mail-in votes before the election. Be like, apparently Pennsylvania. So I haven't actually looked up which states are which, but I did hear that Florida counts a lot of theirs beforehand. So you may know Florida Tuesday night. Pennsylvania apparently does not begin counting their mail-in votes until it's either polls close or until Tuesday or something. So the odds of knowing something about Pennsylvania, I think, are pretty slim. And so, but if you know, so I only think there will be a clear, wow, Biden's run away with it kind of information rush if we know one of these states like Florida has gone for Biden that everyone thought was not going to go for Biden. And if you get there, then the odds of Trump running are so slim, winning are so slim that you could have a kind of known winner that night. Right. Outside of that, I think you have a lot of chaos because Trump will declare victory Tuesday night.
Right. And then when that happens, then all hell breaks loose. So, yeah, I agree. Unless there's like these clear, like Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania are like all our mail-in ballots were overwhelmingly for Biden. Trump doesn't even have a chance. Like they just say, we've counted them. And the people people voting today, there's not enough votes left to
right. Right. And here's where exit polling plays in, because if we had a legit election system, if we weren't a banana republic, then like a lot of countries, we would have legit exit polls that people trusted. And the exit polls were almost always within 2 to 4%, but really closer to 2% different from the actual results. So that it's so close that you're like, well, the exit polls reveal basically the result within 2 points. And in most countries, you could look to that and you could say, well, we know basically what happened. We know basically who won. And that actually is what happened initially in Bolivia. Initially in Bolivia, this 2 weeks ago, when they voted out their US-backed coup, the exit polls showed that the Evo Morales' MAS party was winning 52% of the vote. And so it was like they were just destroying the competition. So they knew those exit polls were just, it was too far to be stolen. Like even if the coup government had changed the results 100%, everyone would just look at the exit polls and said, you're full of shit. Whereas because our exit polls are wrong a lot of the time, and they're wrong because of machine rigging, because of voter purging, all these reasons, our exit polls are only run by one fucking company. Edison Research is the only fucking company, and they outwardly say, they said it once, the CEO said it once, and they've never said it again because they realized what a shit show it was. They announced that they take the exit polls and they align them with the machine results. Meaning they take the thing that is supposed to prove whether the machines were right and they change it to fit the machines, which is the opposite of an exit poll. So we don't have really legit exit polls, and CNN and all those they've stopped even announcing the full exit poll results. They'll announce 62% of people said they're voting because of healthcare. Like they'll say things like that. In the exit polls, they won't announce the full exit poll result because they know that we're fucking watching and we're flipping the fuck out.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to which states are either have already started counting the mail-in ballots or at least start them like Tuesday morning when the polls open is when they start counting them. And their goal is like, well, we're going to count these and have a reasonable count by the end of the day.
Yeah.
And therefore we can say, look, we've already counted, 60, 75, 70% of the mail-in ballots, and already there's this percentage win for either person. So, and because like California, for example, you can mail in, and as long as it's postmarked November 3rd, they will continue to count them until every ballot is counted, which is what it should be. But not every state does that. Some states are like, if we don't get it by the 3rd, it doesn't count. So,
right, yeah, and here's the other tricky thing is like in the primary, California will continue to count like provisional ballots and shit like that. They'll count it for weeks. And with Bernie Sanders versus Hillary, they didn't announce the final winner until weeks later. But the problem is that, well, part of the problem is they know that no one's paying attention weeks later. So whatever is the projected winner by CNN or AP or whatever, that's what counts. So they projected Hillary the winner on the night of the primary, and by the time all the votes were in, which, they who knows what actually went down in the count, but, later they announced that Hillary won by a much smaller portion than they thought, but she still won. And so it's like provisional ballots are designed to do two things. One is to make people think they voted. So that, Greg Palast named them placebo ballots. They're a, oh yeah, you voted. Yeah, just go on about your way. Oh, we'll handle it from here. Yeah, it's great. So they're placebo ballots, but then even if they are counted, they're counted weeks later. People aren't paying attention. So it serves two purposes in that way.
So yeah, I think it's a slim chance we have an answer, a real answer Tuesday night.
But so that's the next question though, is if we don't have a real answer Tuesday night, what do you see happening?
Well, like you said, Trump is going to say, I'm the one, everybody knows this. I'm the exalted leader of all of time and space. It's Planet Trump now. And then people are going to go nuts. And I think his supporters are going to go out in the streets and go nuts. And then some people are going to go, no, we've had enough. And I think there's going to be more violence in the streets. And I think there could be 2 or 3 days of just rioting and looting until there's any kind of decision made.
Okay, but so obviously that's, a horrifying scenario. But beyond just that, that doesn't actually tell us, although it'll be tough to take your eyes off all that shit, that doesn't actually tell us what will happen with the power structure in America. Let's remember that at the end of the day, these are all part of the kind of ruling elite corporatocracy. They don't like Trump because he's kind of accidentally, through his megalomaniacal man-child behavior, revealed kind of the con game. But right. They also don't want mass chaos because that upends their machine of exploitation. It makes it harder to exploit us if there's fucking chaos in the streets. So what happens in terms of the power vacuum in America?
That's an interesting debate. That's an interesting discussion. Is the ruling class elites, is mass hysteria and society collapsing, is that their end game of mass control? Or, as you said, and it's a reasonable question to ask, because I've asked this myself, or do they go, look, if everyone's in the street rioting, they're not working for us and buying shit. So right. We need them pacified into thinking that we're this democracy and, oh, your vote mattered and Biden's the new guy. And they're kind of hoping that the left goes back to sleep and goes back to brunch because they don't want them really paying attention. That was a big problem with Trump, is it made a lot of people start paying more attention.
Well, and not just the left, but if there were to ever be some sort of unity between disenfranchised workers, left, right, and in the middle, they'd be super fucked.
Right, and that's what they can't have. So that's their end game, is to keep everybody divided, distracted, and afraid. So if they and they want people fighting with each other in the streets rather than, like you say, getting together and going, oh, no, we need to just go round up the billionaires. We need to get everyone in Congress and Senate out. You're done. It's over. We're burning down the Senate.
And with our sporting goods, we'll have a tennis net. We can wrap them up in.
I'm going to volleyball spike these assholes out of Congress. Yeah, so that's the question. Is like, does this? It's hard to see what the bigger end game is. Just the keep us all working slaves, having 3 jobs, too busy. Because I think the shutdown, the pandemic, and then the George Floyd, those 2 weeks, I really think they went, oh no, nobody had anything to do. They all got together in the streets. That's when you saw the narrative. Then they really started. I was watching it. I was talking about it on my show. I was like, oh, they're starting to make it out like it's a race war, which. Well,
Trump, yeah, that was useful. Well, or Trump thought it was useful to him to say it's a race war.
And the media jumped on board with it. CNN and them, they, of course, Fox would, but CNN did as well, because they didn't want to talk about the fact that, yeah, I'm not trying to diminish the racism, the systemic racism in this country. It's very prevalent. It's been around for centuries. But the thing that was so unique about the George Floyd protest was it was everybody.
Well, and you'll notice that, like a CNN, they'll cover certain things like that when they blow up, both because it looks bad for Trump, to say he's creating this racism, but for them to claim that, even though he didn't create racism, but also they'll cover it while it blows up, and then they'll spend a few episodes on it, and then they'll move on, and they'll act like it doesn't exist anymore, even though in the weeks following the George Floyd protests, to this day, there have been regular Black Lives Matter protests that the media doesn't cover because they don't want to continue to sustain that narrative of people standing up and marching and being furious.
Yeah, they just, and that's the thing too, is like, I remember I was talking to this guy at one of the protests, this black guy, probably in his late 40s or 50s, and he said, "This is the most white people I've ever seen at a Black Lives Matter protest in my life." He's like,
because it was on CNN.
Yeah, and also, it was like everybody was stuck at home. Everybody had to pay attention. They couldn't just look at the George Floyd footage and go, "Wow, that's awful," but I got to go back to my jobs and my kids or whatever else.
Also, it was the only thing to do. I mean, everything was canceled, so it looked like a fun hangout.
Yeah, well, that was part of it. Was like everyone's been isolated indoors. You know what? I'm going to put a mask on and go outside, and I actually together with people felt like, like this is. So I don't know, and I think they're hoping the Biden win is going to put a bunch of people back to sleep, and because for a while, I got to be honest, because I've gone back and forth for a while. I thought, well, they know the economy is going to collapse. So they want to lose. So Trump wins so they can say, oh, Trump killed the American economy. He blew up the markets. It's his fault. I don't know that.
I don't think they want to lose. I think they wanted to pin it on him so he would lose.
Right.
So they were fine with kind of blowing up the economy. Well, and there's another reason behind that too. Capitalism has this boom bust cycle, and during every bust, Wall Street actually gets trillions of dollars. So the busts are actually consolidate power for the ruling elite, rather than being a bad thing. It actually is quite good for them in general. That doesn't mean every company does well, but in general, it's they love a good giant bust where the government says, we have to give $1 trillion to Wall Street. What else are we going to do?
Yeah. And in this case, they gave $4.25 trillion. So they've made their money in the stimulus, the first CARES Act, and I'm sure they'll get more in the subsequent ones.
Who was the guy you think in Congress who said 4.26 is too much? Let's 4.25. Let's not go crazy.
I'm sure that person, male or female, they're really fighting for us. Bringing it down to 4.25 from the 2.6. That was really
fighting for the people.
The working people. That's what they're fighting for.
Okay, but Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, yeah, I don't think we're gonna have an answer Tuesday night, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's overwhelming and it's done. But regardless, the economic collapse is coming, regardless of whoever is declared the winner, whether to declare Tuesday night or December or whatever. It's the economic collapse is coming, and that whoever's in the White House is going to have to deal with that. So,
but I have like buckets of zombie repellent, so I think I'm going to be all right. Like the really good spray stuff, not that cheap stuff. The really good stuff.
Get good zombie repellent. That's what we're saying. So I don't know. I don't know that we answered any question. We just put out various scenarios for Tuesday.
I actually have even a scarier question. Okay, so let's say chaos happens Tuesday. Trump declares himself winner. Biden, the Democrats tend to, as with Al Gore, they tend to, after a few days of fight, just because they have the spine of an arthritic jellyfish, they tend to just back down and say, "Oh, okay, yeah, he's right, he won." But let's say that because of how toxic Trump has been to the ruling elite in terms of revealing the way the systems work accidentally, let's say that Biden doesn't cave. They count enough of the votes before the Supreme Court stops it that Biden won, and you still have Trump claiming victory because he's claiming that it's all a fraud. Who does the military side with? Because in a lot of countries, it does come down to where the military is going to go. Now, I don't think the Democrats would push it to that because, like I said, this is all the business community. This is the business community fighting amongst themselves, really. So they wouldn't push it to that, but they might. It might depend who they back in not pushing it to that. Might depend on who the military is likely to go with.
Well, that scenario is the most terrifying for this reason these reasons, in my opinion. If there is, it looks like Biden won. It wasn't a landslide, but it looks like Biden won, and Trump just says, "No, I'm not leaving." All hell will break loose because there's going to be a constitutional crisis. And what will happen in my just looking at what's happened historically, some of the military will side with Trump, and then some will go, "No." I mean, that's what happened in the Soviet Union.
Yeah, but it has to be the top. I think it'll come down to the top brass. I mean, most military people, they're so indoctrinated that if the top brass goes one way, so you'd have to see a fight. You'd have to see a split between the top military brass, and I don't think you're going to see that.
Maybe. I mean, again, I hope you're right because my scenario is even worse, which is some within the military go, "Oh, I'm staying with Trump, ride or die," and then someone's going to go, no, let's say all the top brass go, Biden won, transfer of power. And then some wingnut general says, "Well, I'm taking my battalion of 100,000 troops and we're going to support, and that is nuts. I mean, again, the Soviet Union, there was tanks shooting at the, some within the military were siding with the communists. Some were siding with Yeltsin, who was an alcoholic puppet put in there by the West. I mean, so you could have some scenario like that. And then Trump supporters are going to go nuts on the streets. And then anyone with a gun is going to be scared or crazy or whatever. And that's when it goes up in smoke. I mean, like during the 93 Rodney King riots in Los Angeles, there were 63 just random shootings because the police were just spread too thin. So,
well, yeah. And if people should read, if you want to hear what happens when society really breaks down, read Scott Crow's book on what happened in New Orleans Nolens after Katrina, because there's a story there that most people don't know. I mean, they know it was horrific, and they know bodies were floating down the roads, what used to be roads, but it became many of the neighborhoods that were not flooded or were not flooded for long became kind of like white supremacist militias riding up and down the roads, just either threatening to kill or occasionally killing black people just for being out on the sidewalk. And and the cops basically standing back and just allowing that to happen. So it was a true kind of just lawless land that we weren't getting reporting on, both because it was too dangerous to send reporters there, but also because America didn't want to act like that could happen in America. But that's what was fucking going on there.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's going to just be region by region, neighborhood by neighborhood. If it breaks down like that, I mean, some neighborhoods are going to have, like that NFAC, that armed black militia that's like protecting in Georgia and Atlanta, black, in polling stations in primarily black neighborhoods and stuff like that. You're going to have that. Whoever's got the guns in that neighborhood is going to control that neighborhood. That's
so. What is like the most dangerous sporting good? You said crossbow. Is it crossbow, or is it like a fishing line with something really sharp on the end? Like you could fly fish at the guy.
A crossbow is an actual weapon. That's a pretty decent weapon. I mean,
so you're saying crossbow beats softball every time? You're saying every time?
Yeah. Well, it depends on how hard you throw it. Do you got a good arm? I mean, you know what I mean? If you got a strong arm, a baseball thrown precisely at the right part of the human head could work.
All right. I do want, for all the people freaking out right now, I do want to say we were game planning the worst case scenario.
This is absolute worst case scenario.
Ever happened. We're not just predicting people on the streets immediately come Tuesday morning with their fucking tetherball kits and a shotgun, but lawn darts are probably the best.
Lawn darts are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat is putting racquetball. I really great suggestions, everybody. I used to play racquetball. Loved it. Fun game. Great exercise. I'm
a tennis player, so I got tennis rackets. I could probably have one in each hand.
Yeah. I'm going to be throwing surfboards at people. It's going to be good stuff.
You're going to be hurling green tea at people, aren't you?
I'm just going to make pots of tea for people and just go, everybody calm down.
Listen, okay. just calm down. Oh my God. That would be my ideal dystopian revolutionary scenario, just cultural breakdown where people who believe in crystals are just like pegging them at your face. Just crystal defensive tactics.
Just setting up a fire of essential oils, like a
spraying people in the eye, cops in the eyes with essential oils. Ah, what is that? Peppermint? Jesus!
Lavender, bitch! Like, whoa! Oh, lavender helps me sleep. Thanks.
I have a fear of lavender, so that's.
You have a fear of lavender?
I fucking hate lavender.
How is it a fear? You just don't like it, or you're afraid of it?
Okay, maybe it's not a fear. I have a hatred of lavender.
Okay, because lavender seems like a weird thing to have a phobia about. Just like,
not a phobia, just a hatred. It took over. Lavender's in everything. All right, it's in in candles and sodas and I bought a sleep mask. I talk about this in my comedy special. I bought a sleep mask to fly on a plane. And I get on the plane, I put the sleep mask on, and it's unbeknownst to me, it's lavender scented sleep mask. So now all my fucking dreams are, skipping through meadows and drag brunch, fucking drag queen brunches and shit. And so I had to like douse it in, whiskey and gasoline to get my dreams back on track.
I like how skipping through a field is just a horrific nightmare for you. It's like, oh my God, my brain has been hijacked.
Well, you'll be skipping all day. Come on, you'll sprain a hammy.
What if I get a rash from all this shit in the field, or I don't know, there's a beehive? I don't know what's going on. All right, so we've talked about that enough. Let's do Government Secret's second segment on a special electoral collapse episode. All right. Well, Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition came out, and I've been.
For those who I want to warn people. I want to help them understand. I requested that you do this. So this is not Graham hijacking the show with more Epstein stuff. This is my request that Graham explain 400 pages of Ghislaine Maxwell deposition
in 6 minutes. Okay, here we go.
Really, it was selfish because I woke up, I saw it had come out, and I was like, I don't want to read that. I bet Graham will read it.
Graham will read it, and you're just like, get me your notes by 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
So I still haven't gone through all of it, but I've gone through a lot. And also, by the way, if you're hit the like button, if you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, give us a good review and download it and share it out. We need all those analytics help, especially on the audio side. If you're watching it on either of your YouTube channels, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to us. If you're a fan of one of us but not following the other guy, please do that.
And also, every week we get done and we think we should probably never do this again. So if you guys are enjoying this, you gotta let us know, and you gotta share it, and you gotta tell us this is something you want to keep going.
You like it.
Every week I'm on the phone to Graham, and I've got my toes off the edge of the roof of the building, and he says, how about one more week?
One more week, Lee. One more week. And he's like, I think I smell lavender. And I'm like, Lee, just come off the ledge. We'll do one more. I won't bring up Epstein this time unless you ask me. So yeah, Lee and I are so torn between like, yeah, do we want to do anything again, especially after Tuesday? We'll find out.
Do we want life to go on after Tuesday? Yeah.
If it's going to be Mad Max, I'm out. I'm not going to fight bands in the street. I'm out. I'm punching out. Well,
and I wasn't even gonna say this because I probably talk about it too much. But the amazing thing is that through all this fight and through all this chaos and through the situations that you and I just discussed could happen on Tuesday, these two motherfuckers agree on 90% of the structural systems of our country. So it's like you're talking about a 10% difference between the two of them. And yeah,
at best, no Medicare for all from both of them. Neither one are going to ban fracking. No Green New Deal. None of them are going to. There's no free college. There's no ending the wars.
They're both deep throating Wall Street. They both love environmental collapse. They're both
yeah. So even if we have a peaceful transfer of power Tuesday night and Trump gives a concession speech and let's work together, the environment's still collapsing.
I love the idea of a peaceful transfer of power between two endless war oligarchies.
Yeah, exactly. A peaceful transfer of never-ending war cycle.
Right. I'll hand off the automatic rifle from me to you.
A peaceful transfer of a fascist jackboot national police force. A peaceful transfer of a homeless problem nobody cares about who's in power.
And honestly, it's also between the guy who created in a certain sense created, or at least doubled the size of our prison state, which is the largest in the world. So an absolute crime against humanity prison state that locks up 1 out of every 3 black men, but not even mentioning the other millions of non-black people that have been locked up over the years. The guy who created it, and the guy who was like, let's see what this thing can do. Let's really test this thing out. Let's really give this thing a go.
But at least if either one of these guys become president, the people that are a heartbeat away, one wants to shock the gay out of people and outlaw lunch with women, and the other one put 100,000 black men behind bars. So we have great backup plans for all of this. But all right, anyway, let's go into this. So I went through a lot of this document, and I've even read some articles that have gone through it as well. There's a lot of big name redactions, obviously, and Clinton's name is redacted. Alan Dershowitz's name is redacted.
So how do you know if it's redacted? How do you know it's like Clinton?
Well, some of these, and again, it kind of falls down to the investigative work of some journalists who are like, he's mentioned here for just an innocuous reason, but then did you meet so-and-so blank? Was blank on the blank blank? And they somehow connect and say, it looks like it's this person.
Right.
Or somebody's listed in it, in some innocuous way. And then when their name comes up again, it's blanked out. So you can kind of make, so that happens a lot.
Yeah. Blank is the son of the Queen of England, that kind of thing.
Was President blank on the 20 blank times? So it's like, so there's some stuff like that. But one of the things that's really obvious in the very beginning, and it's a thing that I've seen nobody catch. In the very beginning of it, she says, and I'll actually share the screen so people can see it, because I want people to, so they can read along. It's fun reading. Well, first of all, she's maddening. She is maddening. She is so clearly guilty, and she says shit like, did you ever hire a masseuse that was under the age of 18? I don't hire a masseuse. That was not my job. You just said that you did. Like, she just contradicts herself. She does that all the time. But she does the thing that guilty people do of, did you go cheat, on me Friday night?
I'm just looking at this sentence. When I said hire, I didn't mean hire in the way you're using it.
Dude, the whole thing is like this. There's hundreds of pages of this. I didn't mean the way hire that you were doing it. What I say is that I went to spas, and this is talking about how it's mainly about Virginia Roberts, because she was hired as a masseuse and she was underage. That's what this woman who's the lawyer for Virginia Roberts is a pit bull. She just keeps going, and Maxwell gets pissed off. She's so arrogant, and just like, that question's over. And the lawyer goes, no, you're under a legal deposition. I'm going to answer the question. If you refuse to answer, we're going to have to come back here at a later date. Like, she is such scathing privilege. It's nauseating. But she says all this time, I went to spas and I met people, and if they did home visits, Jeffrey would hire them, in fact, hire them. I'm not responsible for hiring someone. But then she says that she had, like, she would give them money. Like, but I would, so you hire them.
This is like Bill Clinton. It depends on what the meaning of is.
Dude, it is exactly that. It's the same creepy liar thing. It's like, did you go there and have sex with that woman Friday night? What do you define by night? Like,
what do you mean by sex? He came in her eye. Does that count as sexual relations?
Dude, that's in here in the 50s. She says, well, first of all, here's this. I mean, there's just pages of all these redactions in here, but I want to go to page 50. She says, and this Mr. This is
Should I worry about you, Graham? Is this your bedtime reading? Are you like, do you fall asleep to this?
So all I do is I just read this. I wake up in the morning and I have tea, and I think, oh, the world's run by pedophiles. It's this thing. Did you ever pay an individual? Did you ever hand an individual cash for work you performed? Can you be more specific about what you're asking me? What is vague about that?
She's like, do what? By hand cash? Do you mean Venmo? Because
what does that do you mean? And what does cash mean?
Yeah,
like, not in cash.
What is cash? Is it just pieces of paper we give meaning that don't actually have meaning? What is cash?
After Nixon took us off the gold standard, they really don't mean anything. So I don't even know what you're saying. Like, just like fucking nonsense liar shit. Did you ever hand any individual who was working at home cash as payment for something that they performed at the home? To the best of my recollection, like, she finally kind of, and I left cash for the pool guy. I would have potentially left some cash for the gardener, potentially for an exercise instructor.
I left cash for the pool guy. By the way, the pool guy was actually a girl, and by guy I mean 14-year-old girl, and by pool guy I mean she fucked him.
Yeah, exactly. It's like all the, and she says, I didn't have those jobs. I didn't do that act. It's like, so now it gets into the thing of like, they got paid between $100 and $200. This is what the masseuses got. Did it vary based on what sexual acts they performed? No, it varied depending on how much time they spent. Then this question, did the massage therapists that were hired to come to the home perform sexual acts for Jeffrey Epstein? What are you asking me?
What? How can you not know?
I'm asking if the massage, are you asking about underage girls? Yeah, absolutely. I am asking that. Are you asking me if they were paid for sexual acts? I'm asking, listen, this is my favorite thing. Did any of the massage therapists who were at the home perform sexual acts for Epstein? I don't know what you mean by sexual acts.
Wow.
Right? Like, did you shoot this person with a gun? What do you mean by shoot?
Now, he fired the bullet, but the bullet entered the other guy's head by its own volition.
The bullet was acting in its own accordance with its own thinking. I don't know. I mean, and when you say fired, you mean like I stopped hiring the bullet? Is that what
you mean? I stopped holding the bullet within my gun and I released it out into the world. What it did at that point is not up to me.
The bullet was just on its own.
So let me get this straight. Anything I once held that is now out in the world is somehow, I once held my cousin. Does that mean everything he does from now on is my fault?
Can you define cousin? What do you mean by cousin?
This is amazing, dude.
The whole thing is her just dodging like this. But so it's she gets pestered. But the thing I really want to go to is
what? Oh, okay.
The very beginning here, and this is like the thing that nobody seemed to, and I want to, in the very beginning when they're just doing the sort of perfunctory, we're here at this date, April 22nd, at the Avenue, this is where we're at, here's who's in thing, who's here, Ghislaine Maxwell called as a witness, I'm going to explain what's going to happen. This is all the just early stuff, right? There's a court reporter, right? Is there anything that would prevent you from giving truthful testimony? No, everything's good. This one right here. Can you please state your address for the record? Currently blank. Okay, that seems fair enough to be redacted. Date of birth. I don't know why that should be blanked. When did you first recruit? And then our lawyer steps in and says no. But this thing, just nobody caught this. Right here about the address. So this is in 2016, right? So Epstein had been arrested the first time in 2009. That's when he got the sweetheart deal with Acosta.
Right.
And that's when we learned about like Nadia Markova, who was trafficked at age like 15 and then became one of Epstein's recruiters. That's when the first stuff about Virginia Roberts started to come out. That's when names like Dershowitz and Clinton and Trump all started to come out. It was quickly squashed, right? So this is already after that. And Virginia Roberts first filed this civil suit in 2011. And Maxwell's lawyers pushed it off and pushed it off and pushed it off. So when this finally happened, it was like, they're starting to get cornered. I would like to clarify the address. I'm in the process of selling the house. So while I've still received mail there, it's not my actual physical address. Oh, okay. That's a fair thing to say. It's in the process of being sold. It still requires some final paperwork to be done. So just for the purposes of clarity, do you have a new address where you'll be living? I do not. That right there said to me that Maxwell knew it was starting to come down. And she said, I don't have a forwarding address. Can you tell me a rich person that doesn't have an address somewhere,
right,
give if they're selling one of their houses? They can't list well, actually just list the house in Vale or the south of France or this asshole's yacht. She said, I do not. And that's when she started to slowly disappear. That's when we started to see less and less of her. That's when too, in 2017-ish, she got rid of her maybe it was 2018.
She had that fucking environmental foundation or something.
Yeah, a Save the Ocean Foundation, and one of the things in that foundation that she scrubbed from the internet, but of course the internet never forgets, is we're helping young people, young women in ages 13 to 15, get empowered about saving the ocean. So it was like, you used your foundation to snatch up girls, in addition to the modeling scam that you did with Les Wexner. Who Maria Farmer, who was an Epstein victim, said Les Wexner was the head of the of the snake in North America. And that's the thing. She knew she was going on the run. That's why she was selling and liquidating stuff. And Maria Farmer said Epstein was middle management, right? And Les Wexner was the head of the North American snake. And she goes, you have no idea. There's heads in each like continent. So.
And this is, I mean, the thing about Les Wexner, like the fact that he is the head of one of the largest companies in America that everyone knows, Victoria's Secret, is like, it's like he was out in the fucking broad daylight about, like, I mean, this is barely a secret. He's fucking filming commercials with 15-year-old girls in underwear.
Yeah. And it's such a great recruiting tool. Hey, 14-year-old girl, do you want to be a Victoria's Secret model when you get older? We'll recruit and train you. We'll teach you how to rock the runway. So that's what they do. And especially, oh, you're from a family that doesn't have a lot of money. Well, we'll give your family 50 grand and you can come fly. I mean, that's one of the things Epstein laughed about was like in France, families would, he goes, man, everyone's got a price. They would just, I'd pay them and they'd send their daughters over with me for model training and he'd laugh about it. And so if Maria Farmer's correct, which I believe that she is, so if Les Wexner is the head of the snake and Epstein kept getting busted, this is what the mob does. When a middle management guy starts getting arrested too much and causing too many problems, they can cover up one trial, but a second one. So that's why Epstein hangs himself with a paper t-shirt. And Maxwell is like aware of this in 2016 and says, I don't have a forwarding address. And she knows she's hoping that the powerful are going to bail her out again. And they're kind of not a little bit.
Well, and it serves two purposes. One is if she were to give an address, now that's a new thing they can that they can grab up as an asset and sell off to give victims money or something. So basically take from her. But also, if she thinks she's going to be assassinated, then giving an address is not a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's two things. So there's probably a third thing too. So there's the hiding the assets. So getting everything out of their names. So you can't come seize my assets. And then I don't want the people that I work for, the real powerful people, to come kill me. And third, I don't want to give an access where all my hard drives with all my leverage evidence are stored.
Right.
Like that's the thing. When she first got arrested over the summer was, people close to her were like, she has like what's the term? Not a kill switch, but like she has a
kill switch. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, if she goes down, this goes out.
Dead man's something.
Yeah. Right? Basically, a bunch of really like videos and damning evidence of very, very powerful people. So she's like, if something happens to me, this goes out. So you better make sure that I'm safe. And right. I bet you people in power are like, let's push the trial off for a year to give us time to find these hard drives, and then we can kill her. So
right.
That's my government secret on this light reading that I've been doing the last week.
Light reading. Yeah. Well, I look forward to the pop-up version you were getting ready to make. So
it's like, Graham, why do you meditate and surf and all that? Because when I read about this, Dave, I have no faith in the human race. So I need to go out and catch some waves and eat some nice food and go to a farmer's market or something and think,
honestly, that at the end of the day, listen, you riot for part of Tuesday, but the other part, go to a farmer's market, get an apple, like a fresh apple, maybe some wheatgrass.
Yes. And leafy greens and B12, fresh leafy greens are good to fight battle depression. So when you're feeling down about a global sex trafficking ring run by the most powerful people in the world and the collapse of society, have a salad.
Have a salad at the end of the day.
I feel like I should make a song like, in the world collapse, have a salad. You're watching.
When you're reading about people raping children, have a salad.
Have a salad. You feel like you can't stop these awful people, have a salad. Like it's... So that's where we're at. So that's my government secret, folks. I think. Do you have another one? Or are we good?
I think we're good for this episode. I do have one, but it's timeless. We'll save it for next week. So.
Oh, I love a timeless.
Yeah. Don't you love that our CIA and our government have assassinated and killed and attacked so many people that I'm like, you will talk about it next week.
Lee, we could do this show for 100 years and never run out of CIA, NSA, evil shit. Like we could do this show and never run out. All right. Well, where can people watch and follow you, Lee Camp?
Yeah, all my stuff's at leecamp.com. That's probably the easiest place to go and learn about it all. I have a TV show called Redacted Tonight. A new episode just came out for tonight. And I have other podcasts, one called Common Censored and one called Moment of Clarity. And do a lot of web videos and everything, but the easiest thing to remember is leecamp.com.
Cool. And if you're out there, if you're listening to this, please positive reviews in iTunes and Spotify. Those help. Give us, thumbs up and share it. The downloads, all those analytics help for government secrets, and share this on your social media to get the word.
I decide whether to walk up to the edge of the roof by the analytics every week. So
every week. So
it's up to you, folks.
It's up to you. If you want Lee to walk off the ledge, then hit the like button. That's all we're asking. You can follow everything I do at GrahamElwood.com. I have my YouTube show, Political Vigilante. I go live 4 or 5 days a week. I'm also on rockfin.com/GrahamElwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. I have a Patreon. A lot of great ways to support what I'm doing, and follow me at Graham Elwood. I'm going to be doing more live Zoom comedy shows with Ron Placone. So check all that out, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, government secrets. End of episode. That's good, right?
I can't believe you don't have more voiceover work.
I know. You think I would. I think just be like a voiceover. I had a voiceover agent for a long time, and I finally booked something, and then I was going to Iraq to do USO shows, and they got mad and fired me because I couldn't do it. That's Hollywood.
I did like one voiceover back when I was like 24 or something.
Nice.
So I'm huge in the voiceover world.
So let's have one thing.
I'm known as a guy that quit while he quit while he was ahead. He did that one commercial, he blew everyone away, and then he just said, "I'm out."
Well, cool, dude. I'm gonna go live for Political Vigilantes Tuesday during the election, probably late in the day. If you got the time and want to come on, I'll text you if you want to do that.
Yeah, text me about it. I'm going. I probably should have said this, but I'm going live stream at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for an hour. So just an hour. YouTube.com/moment of clarity. But I'd love to join you earlier.
Okay. Cool. Well, we'll see you on election day, buddy. Get your sporting goods all polished up.
Will do. Later, man.
All right, buddy. Bye.